Welcome back to CB Next Live. This is Next News Review. I'm Franklin Katunda. And this brings us to the spotlight of today's edition. The UN Mapping Report on the Democratic Republic of Congo. What is the UN Mapping Report anyways? This document, published by the UN High Commission on Human Rights, has identified about 617 more serious incidents of violence against human rights and international humanitarian laws. The 550 pages report, previously leaked to the press, was finally published in the late October of 2010, when evidences gathered by 33 UN staffers and 25 investigative officers deployed across the country revealed serious abuses were committed between 1993 and 2003. According to the UN Human Rights Commission, each of the incidents listed were backed up at least by 2 independent sources identified in the report. As serious as they may be, unconfirmed incidents claimed by one single source were not included. Over 1,500 documents related to human rights violations committed during this period were gathered and analyzed with a view to establishing an initial chronology by region and by major incidents reported. The UN website clearly shows that only incidents meeting a gravity threshold set out in the methodology were considered. Field mapping teams met with over 1,280 witnesses to confirm or invalidate the abuses listed in the chronology. Congo's UN ambassador Atoki Aleka, as reported by the Christian Science Monitor, writing an op-ed in Huffington Post, quickly indicated his country's positive comment on the report, even though Congolese armed forces were cited in the report. Meanwhile, Paul Kagame's Foreign Affairs Minister was quick to threaten with a Rwanda's withdrawal from the UN African peacekeeping forces as soon as the report was leaked. In Washington, D.C., U.S. Congress prompted its House Subcommittee on Foreign Affairs last March 2011 to host a hearing on the DRC crisis. Hollywood actor Ben Affleck, activist John Prendergast of Enough Project, and even Mrs. Cindy McCain, wife of Senator John McCain, were on a panel to testify before Congress. At the end of the congressional hearing session, there was a time for photo op. Questions were being asked, people were passing business cards, talking, taking pictures. The president of the subcommittee had also a moment of talk with activist John Prendergast, as well as Mr. Ben Affleck, who's the Hollywood actor who had a trip to the DR Congo along with Mrs. Cindy McCain. Most of the attendees were asked a question about the UN mapping report, and that question was always unanswered. As those pictures show, we have had a session of 3 hours, but there was no any mention of that important document. We know the United Nations has instructed the US and then also the countries to be involved in Eastern Congo, and that's the reason why in 2005 a team was sent to DRC to investigate on the atrocities that were committed in the eastern side of the country. We attended that session at the Rayburn House Committee, and it had resulted in so many things that we are anticipating to see in the relationships between the United States and Congo.
I don't know. Nobody asked about it.
Was this a hearing like the last week?
Yeah. There was a hearing.
Yeah.
Well, then they talked about it then. That might have been the reason why. Thank you. That might have been why they didn't bring it up.
The news that no one wants to talk about. The list of 85 multinational companies that are tied to the blood minerals dealings in the DR Congo. Belgium, with 16 companies, is at the top of the list. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.